Croatia, you received a phone call or communication about this hole. What was the communication?
Essentially that Brown had a 0.45-inch inwardly beveling circular hole in the top of his head.
You've been a forensic pathologist for some time. Does this appear to be, could this fit the description of a gunshot wound to the head by a .45 caliber pistol?
A published report said a second Armed Forces medical examiner says the corpse of Commerce Secretary Ron Brown seemed to have a bullet hole in the top of the head. The Pittsburgh Tribune-Review reported U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel David Haas says he saw an apparent bullet wound in the head, supporting the account of forensic pathologist examiner Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Steve Cogswell. According to the report, Haas and Cogswell, both members of the Armed Forces Institute of Pathology, participated in the agency's investigation of the April 1996 military jet crash in which Brown and 34 others died. An Air Force spokesman told United Press International that the wound to Brown's head superficially looked like a bullet wound, but, quote, scientific data, including x-rays, absolutely ruled it out, end quote. Cogswell, who never examined Brown's body but was the Air Force's man at the crash site, maintains that x-rays of Brown's head have disappeared from the Institute's file, including one that apparently shows bullet fragments. The Pittsburgh Tribune-Review has published some of the photos of the x-rays, and we will review some of them on this program. The Pittsburgh Tribune-Review has been accused of anti-Clinton bias because of its conservative leanings. But the NAACP and the Congressional Black Caucus have asked for explanations from the Justice Department, the Defense Department, and the White House. Ron Brown's own family, according to the New York Daily News, did not condemn the conservative participation and, quote, did nothing to dispel speculation that the Clinton administration may be covering up Brown's murder, end of quote. If Brown was murdered, did someone want him dead so badly they didn't mind killing 34 other people on the plane to silence him? U.S. News and World Report magazine said that slavery was no sideshow in American history, but the main event. Was it exclusively a Southern phenomenon? Northern textile producers had as big a stake in this inhuman system of exploitation as Southern planters, and New York City, at one point, was second only to Charleston, South Carolina, in the number of slaves. As an economic engine, slavery jump-started the American economy. For years, explorer and Harvard professor Dr. Alan Counter has led expeditions searching and finding little-known enclaves of African-descended blacks living in remote regions of the world. In an expedition to the North Pole, he found the son and the descendants of Arctic explorer Matthew Henson. He has documented the story of these black Eskimos in a recent work called Black Igloo, the Eskimo Children of Matthew Henson. Now, your latest film is in conjunction with your latest exploration subject.
Yes.
And your latest exploration subject has been Matthew Henson.
Well, Matthew Henson was the African-American who traveled to the North Pole with Admiral Robert Peary. And although Admiral Robert Peary is credited with discovering the North Pole, we have now conclusive evidence that Matthew Henson should be considered the co-discoverer, because Matthew Henson and Robert Peary led the expedition in 1909 to reach the North Pole on April 6th. And so Matthew Henson becomes a very important American hero, that he led the way for one of the greatest discoveries of his time, and at that time it was tantamount to reaching the moon. He was never given credit, and we finally were able to gain credit and recognition for his achievements, with the President of the United States permitting me to reinter him at Arlington National Cemetery with full honors, and also to have a ship named after him. And most recently, he received the most prestigious medal from the National Geographic Society.